Part 66. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjaya Old Thief. Chapter 651. The 4 words I fear most in life. Just have hands. Facts have proven countless times that people are different. If you have hands, you may not be able to do it. From a historical perspective, the previous 3 generations of the most powerful seeds of the human race had all been to the void vortex and returned alive. Survival rate 100%. But this does not affect Yebai's survival rate in the maelstrom. Even perhaps because of the actions of some of the strongest, the difficulty coefficient of those who came after them has skyrocketed. This is called those who came before us dug holes, and those who came after us suffered. When Mr. Lan proposed the void vortex, Tan Yan gave the corresponding survival data. In the current state, heading to the maelstrom, the survival rate is 17.56%. Yebai felt numb at that time. This is no longer a problem for him to be meticulous. Even if it's math taught by a physical education teacher, it should not be difficult to see. 17% is a very low probability. If you go 100 times, you will die 83 times. If you throw this probability here, no normal person would go. Yebai tried to prove that it was not that he was afraid of death, but that there was something wrong with the probability. Certainly. Danyan also gave some ways to improve the probability of survival. Changing jobs can increase the survival rate by 15%. The Fourth Awakening, the survival rate increased to more than 50%. Deconstruct the source of greed and increase the survival rate according to the deconstruction progress. Yebai thought about it and realized that his upcoming schedule was very tight. First, he has a fight to the death. On the 40th floor, the 999th level demon race's most powerful seed was still waiting for Yebai. Without crossing the 40th floor, Yebai would not be able to reach the subsequent secret realm of job transfer, let alone awaken a series of things. Secondly, defeated the most powerful seed of the demon race. Yebai has to decide whether to go to the void vortex. One factor to consider is your own strength. The opinions of the second and third brothers should also be taken into consideration. At last, even if you decide to go, Yebai also needs to consider whether to send a few people to accompany him. Say 1,000, preach 10,000. The most important thing Yebai needs to do right now is to study the origin of greed. Only by deconstructing the origin of greed, integrating into the Shura-Si, improving combat power, and killing the most powerful seeds of the demon race, everything can be solved smoothly. But the greedy origin of the brass version, Yebai can't accept it. So, let's talk about gold first. Mr. Lan briefly chatted with Yebai again. This conversation has come to an end. As for the reason why Yebai came to see him, although Lao Lan didn't ask, he had an answer in his heart. Mostly related to the state of carefreeness. After bidding farewell to Mr. Lan, Yebai did not return to Blue Star, but went to his own exclusive space first. Idiot, do me a favor. Yebai held the brass power of nature and greeted. Help me disguise this thing. The Mida CD is very short, so Yebai has to keep trying. It doesn't feel right to hold the SSS level equipment called Force of Nature and dangle it in front of the students. Is it too high profile? It is easy to expose one's true identity. Master Fool sneered and asked. Why? If you ask me to pretend, I will pretend. Don't I want to lose face? Yebai said confidently. I'll give you money. It's a deal. Master Fool quickly agreed, fearing Shura would go back on his word and seal the deal on the spot. But when she agreed, I immediately realized that something was wrong. If you help disguise yourself, you should be paid. How come when you come to Shura, giving money becomes a great gift? Can only say. After getting along with Shura for a long time, you will see what Shura does in your eyes, and you will unconsciously relax your requirements for Shura. Whenever Shura does anything remotely related to people, even the Fool Master will feel that he has taken advantage. This time, it's the same. Anyway, it's a simple effort and you won't suffer any loss. Master Fool took over the power of nature and used a few hammers to disguise the power of nature. You can't see through anything below the God of War, that's Master Fool originally planned to say. It's just that this piece of equipment has been relatively unlucky recently. In fact, the equipment that passes through her hands will not have good luck. However, if left for a period of time, the bad luck will dissipate and return to normal. But Master Fool then thought, the other party was Shura. Remind him why? I swallowed half of the sentence. Yabai stretched out his hand to receive the power of nature, but the staff was withdrawn by Master Fool. Master Fool stretched out his other hand. Where's the money? As agreed, we will pay the price and deliver the goods. Yabai took out 5 copper coins, lined them up in his palm, thought about it, and took back 2 more. Fool Master. Yabai is still eloquent in his words. You smashed 3 hammers, and I'll give you 3 UN. It's very reasonable. Reasonable, very reasonable. Shura only said to give money, but not how much. Master Fool silently took the 3 copper coins and returned the power of nature to Shura. As soon as he got the money, the Fool Master smiled evilly and heard a clear laughter like wind chimes. Yabai turned back and glared at Dracula. With this move alone, Master Fool's real strength is much greater than that of the 9th level God of War. The Fool Master slashed with his sword. Why are you laughing? It's just, what does a fool want to do? I remember happy things. Yabai's face changed, he felt bad, and subconsciously wanted to run away. No. Master Fool didn't give him this chance. Yabai watched her performance quietly, ready to run away at any moment. 3 copper coins fell into the palm of Master Fool, and were suspended in the air one after another, forming the shape of an isosceles triangle. No, I recently learned a new skill. Yabai sneered and said. Yabai has long suspected that Master Fool is not an ordinary 9th level war god. Then 3 copper coins turned into gold coins. Put away your wind chime. Even if you play with flowers, they will only be 3 copper flowers, so there is nothing to be afraid of. A burst of demonic energy surged out, the law emerged, and the 3 copper coins reacted to each other and began to rotate, forming a world of their own. He suspected that if he continued to stay, he would break his defense. Dracula put away the wind chime and his laughter stopped. Even the small space seemed to be plated with gold. Under the influence of the demonic energy, the space around the 3 copper coins was isolated from the surroundings. Yabai looked at the Fool Master warily, with a rather fearful look on his face. Master Fool waved his hand. The Fool Master drew a sword. The Idiot Master smiled like a flower, pointed at 3 gold coins, and said with a smile. 3 copper coins, can you still make tricks? The Fool Master said perfunctorily. Yabai seemed to have a premonition of what would happen, and subconsciously wanted to stop the other party. Look, Golden Abyss. Yabai. Breaking the defense. Yabai's face was pale, and he seemed to feel more uncomfortable than losing money. His teeth kept shaking and he couldn't say a word. However, the other party had Xiao's restraints on him, which Chan couldn't see through, and Yabai had nothing to do. What's so happy about it? Your wife gives birth to a baby. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 652. I don't understand. Yabai looked at the 3 floating gold coins and fell into hysteria, almost going berserk. Why the hell? How come this demon clan knows the Golden Abyss? Is there still King's Law? Is there still Heavenly Law? Is there still Wool? Previously, When the fool used the golden abyss, Yabai did have a chance to reproduce it with his eyes. But Yabai must make a choice. The golden abyss used by Master Fool is a weakened version of the weakened version and can only turn 3 copper coins into gold. At this level, even Midas can do it. Secondly, the void exile that Yabai currently stores in his eyes is the most suitable skill for him at this stage. According to the evaluation given by Danian, void exile alone can increase Yabai's survival rate in battle by 5 percentage points. Comparing the two, Yabai could only reluctantly give up the weakened version of Golden Abyss, indirectly giving up 3 gold coins. The loss of these 30,000 eternal gold coins made Yabai feel so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe, just like losing 30,000 God of War's merits. The most important thing is that Yabai can't understand. Why does she know Huang Jinyuan? Master Fool calmly said. As a distinguished shareholder of Wanwu Pavilion and the #1 blacksmith of all races, Wu Hong owes me a favor. Is it reasonable? Yabai. With this sentence, Master Fool showed off Yabai 3 times. The shareholder of Wanwu Pavilion, the first blacksmith, the second brother owes a favor. That's outrageous. Yabai quickly adjusted his mentality and said instead. Let's negotiate a price. What do you want to do before you are willing to teach me Huang Jinyuan? No need to discuss. Master Fool shook his head and refused. When Wu Hen taught me, he asked me not to spread the word. The meaning of this is obvious. In this world, who wants to learn from Huang Jinyuan the most? It must be Shura. Unable to learn skills, Yabai retreated and settled for the second best, aggrieved himself. Then you will help me turn the abyss plate into gold. The biggest function of the golden abyss is to turn the abyss into gold. And coincidentally, Yabai is one of the few people in the human race who possesses the abyss. In return for contributing the skill book of Win's infinite distance, the human race gave Yabai 1/3 of the spoils of the war. Directly use the abyss to pay off the debt. This abyss is slowly merging in the corner of Yabai's exclusive space. Cain and Dracula would occasionally take their younger brothers over to hunt monsters and earn some pocket money. Certainly. All this is with Yabai's permission. Gujin also designed a ticket system for this purpose. Exchange money for tickets to the abyss, use the tickets to enter the abyss to earn money, and then use the money earned to buy tickets for the abyss. In addition to buying tickets for the abyss, Dracula and Cain also had to pay high personal income taxes. After all, the two of them could earn about 800 by working together overnight. It's not 800 God of War merits, nor is it 800 gold coins. 800 dragon coins. After Cain went there once, he never went back again. It's a thankless effort, it's better to just throw it away. Dracula, on the other hand, ran there whenever he had free time and never tired of it. Look, I have an abyss and you have a golden abyss. What a coincidence. Yabai said magnanimously. I'm willing to let you help me turn the abyss into gold for free. Fool master. What a fool you are. No need to discuss. Master Fool yawned and said listlessly. I'm sleepy, Xiaoxiu, please step back. Good on you monster. Stirring your nose and hitting your face, right? Since I still can't defeat the opponent. Yabai decided to endure it for a while. This is not because Yabai cares about personal gains and losses. Mainly, for the sake of the overall interests of the human race. As we all know, Master Fool is the 2nd and 5th generation of the Demon Clan, a professional transportation captain and a forging expert. Yabai now has the force of nature, an SSS level equipment, as well as the Heavenly King Sword, Nightmare Wind, and other combinations. The demand for SSS level equipment is actually not high. There is no shortage of Yabai, but there is a shortage of 5th generation powerful seeds. So, Yabai didn't fall out with Master Fool because of any personal factors. It was all about taking the overall situation into consideration and enduring the humiliation. After talking to the Fool Master, Ye Bai could only choose to return. After all, the Fool Master is not Xue Meng, so he can't chase after the wool. After leaving the exclusive space, Ye Bai returned to the Eternal Forest, followed the old procedure, and returned to Magic City University to continue his unremarkable college career as the strongest seed. In front of the teaching building. Today, the powerful 9th-level god of war taught in person again. Su Qingfeng looked at the reunited Tianzi Class 3, nodded slightly, and said implicitly. Only then could he have an unobstructed journey and successfully reach the realm of the 9th-level god of war. Everyone looked confused. What does this have to do with the most powerful adopted son Xue Meng? Yes. Back then, there were actually two people who were as famous as Xue Meng. Why do I only know two of the three famous geniuses of the Silver Generation? The singer's focus is different from other people's. Xue Meng's dark history and Lao Liu's highlight moments in life. There is no need to show off for such an important matter. Ye Bai was also very curious. How different is Ye Bai, who licks blood on the blade every day, risking a 99% survival rate to fight and break through? One of them, named Lu Qingjian, punched Xue Meng during the entrance ceremony. Besides the most powerful Wuhan of our Silver Generation, the most famous person is undoubtedly Xue Meng. Everyone must have heard about the Nightmare Legion supporting Shura. Su Qingfeng emphasized. After listening to Lao Liu's story, everyone looked thoughtful. Teacher Su, among the three geniuses who are as famous as Bai Yin, Xue Meng, and Lu Qingjian, who is the other one? As he spoke, Lao Su became rarely serious, and finally looked like a 9th-level war god. What's even more outrageous is that several other people actually nodded. Su Qingfeng said low-key and modestly. Old Su said slowly. Make a decision. She asked curiously. Lu Qingjian has outstanding talent, straightforward personality, and his strength has been improving at the forefront of his generation, closely following Xue Meng. Lao Su changed the subject and suddenly said. These talented seeds have had a smooth journey and have never encountered any major setbacks. It was not until these days that I learned to be a low-key person and my mood improved, and I broke through the threshold of the peak war king and became the god of war. Because he is too arrogant and even mentions his granddaughter's second awakening to everyone, Xia Liuka has been at the top of the battle king for decades and cannot make any progress. The corner of Ye Bai's mouth twitched. This matter is difficult to handle, right? Lu Qingjian's example has given everyone a lot of inspiration. Su Qingfeng then pointed out the topic and warned everyone. Students, on the road to becoming strong, the most important thing to avoid is arrogance and exaggeration. You only need to know that genius relies on a low-key and stable mentality, not pursuing fame, wealth, or power. They are all false names, so don't mention them. Ye Bai's ears almost sounded like cocoons. Ye Bai. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjia Old Thief. Chapter 653. Ye Bai, Lao Su, the 9th-level god of war you are talking about could not be you, right? In front of so many people, it was hard for Ye Bai to undermine Lao Su. Everyone who understands understands. The once famous three silver geniuses. Lao Liuka is the king of war at the peak, and Su Qingfeng is the shame of the 9th-level war god. In the end, only Xue Meng refined gold. If we look at it from the perspective of the entire human race, these three geniuses have undoubtedly fulfilled their potential. Even the worst Lao Lu, the peak war king, is enough to hold the position of deputy commander of an ordinary army. His status in the human race is evident. After Lao Su finished telling his story, he talked with everyone about the recent changes in the abyss. Considering the increasingly severe situation in the abyss, new challenges are emerging one after another, and the top leaders of the human race have also made active adjustments to respond. In general, the Legion may need to expand. Su Qingfeng just gave everyone a sneak peek, without giving too many specific details. The expansion of the Legion means investing more resources. At the same time, there are only so many high-quality fighters, and every year, graduates from top universities have already been booked. That is to say, this time the Legion is expanded, the Reserve Legion will be selected from students from various universities, and social recruitment channels will also be open to absorb social talents. Su Qingfeng's meaning is obvious: this is a rare opportunity. If you can grasp it and enter the reserve army in advance, you will not only get more resources, opportunities to fight, opportunities to grow, will be better than staying in school. The battlefield is the best teacher. Let me tell you a little secret. Su Qingfeng blinked and whispered. Shura's most powerful legion will be one of the reserve legions. Everyone? Yebai. I do not know how. Yebai is only level 599, and he is still far away from level 1000. He still has half a year to go. He really hadn't thought about how to build the Shura army. Unexpectedly, Lao Su had already made clear arrangements for him. As the standard equipment of the strongest legion and power are also indispensable. Even Shura. Su Qingfeng only mentioned a few words about the reserve legion and quickly focused on teaching. For Yebai, it was another day of fishing. During class, Yebai would touch his staff every 5 minutes to release the Midas, hoping to restore the power of nature to its original state. But all failed. It seems that the Sun-Li unlucky tree is still working. In this way, Yebai lit gold and water for a day. Yebai was so angry that he wanted to yell. Your success rate is fake, right? As an SSS level talent, can I give you a false success rate? Yebai was very determined. Able. Just when Yebai was fishing. At the second abyss construction site, 2 oxen and horses were diligently moving bricks. Xuemeng stopped the sledgehammer in his hand, took a breath, and said in confusion. I said, "Third child, aren't you tired?" Ying San brandished a shovel and continued to dig the road. Third master usually doesn't talk much and is rather ruthless. Facing Xuemeng's question, Ying San explained. Control your strength. It's best to use only 10% of your strength each time. Any more is a waste. Before, when Yebai was brought back by Ying San, he had seen the power of Ying San's action. Every blow can kill 10 Su Qingfeng instantly in the void. It's really about understanding the combat units. This is only 1/10 of Ying Sanyi's power. The scariest thing is, what Yebai saw was just the aftermath of Master Ying's action. This wave of humiliation has doubled. I know this too. Xuemeng helplessly spread his hands and sighed. I became stronger again in the past 2 days, and my strength control is not as good as before, so I am tired. In order to kill Prince Huang, Xuemeng released part of his own seal. Although it is a small part. But let Xuemeng's strength reach a higher level. The stronger you are, the harder it is to control your skills to the peak. Xuemeng's move of bricks this time can be regarded as adapting in advance and polishing his skills. Xuemeng pointed to the golden tree on his shoulders and asked in confusion. Speaking of which, third brother, why do I feel that this tree is more effective than me? Original. Ying San called Xuemeng to show him the way and identify the direction. But when the golden tree comes in Xuemeng's hands, the tree turned out to be spiritual, and the branches all moved in one direction. Ying San quickly came to the conclusion that this direction is the direction of the abyss. Facing Xuemeng's doubts, Third Master Ying nodded. You're right. Trees are indeed more useful than people. Don't tell Shura about this, otherwise, you'll have to. Just thinking about it made Xuemeng shudder. When Xuemeng doesn't speak, Third Master Ying usually stays silent. After a short rest, Xuemeng once again joined the work of moving bricks at the construction site. Soon, he discovered something was wrong again. "Third brother, are you going in the wrong direction?" Xuemeng pointed forward, which was obviously different from the direction pointed by the golden tree. "That's right," Ying-san said in a deep voice. "There's Sun Li over there, don't go." Xuemeng. What Lao-san said makes sense. I was so preoccupied with saving Uncle Ju that I forgot about Sun Li. In the void, the second abyss flew unhurriedly, approaching cautiously in a certain direction. In the steamer, if bad luck had ratings, he would be at the top. "Laoju, this guy is cooking, save the trouble." "Thank you for the gift of nature." This monster obviously didn't realize the seriousness of the matter. The monster even drooled. Before entering the abyss of power, he was also a well-known strong man. An acquaintance who was tied up tilted his head and smiled weakly. Thinking of this, not a drop of water has come in for the past 3 days. A flash of sword light ruthlessly took away the monster's life, leaving it no chance to resist. The vision in front of him was a little blurry, so Sun Liqiang kept walking. Sun Li never moved, but was wandering around. Thump. He encountered a monster chase before, which exhausted all his life-saving means. An old man with a hearty laugh launched a shameless sneak attack and killed him with one knife. But a small pendulum is not a pendulum. What happened to the old thieves? Can it be called a mess? A man in ragged clothes, with a skinny face and sunken eye sockets, walked unsteadily on the mountain path. Sun Li after entering the abyss of the strongest. According to the original plan, he was going to join Yingju, Crazy Huo, and the others. Crazy Huo, long time no see. This is a sophisticated monster. With that said, Madman Huo stepped forward and opened the steamer, wanting to see what delicious food the monster had made. This was the last thought in its mind. The food he brought has been eaten. A passing monster picked up the unconscious Sun Li. He tilted his body and fell to the ground. It takes Sun Li back to the cave, washes it with cold water, spreads the seasoning according to the recipe, puts it in the steamer, boils it over high heat, and waits for 4 hours before eating. Unfortunately for him, he soon forced himself into a desperate situation. It's messed up, until the second update today, and the fourth update tomorrow. He comes from the human race and has a name that gods hate and ghosts hate, Sun Li. It had not eaten human flesh for a long time and decided to reward itself. The Mighty Abyss. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 654. Looking at the old acquaintance in front of him, Huo Tianwang silently let go and put the lid back. Yingju, who heard the sound, naturally guessed what happened. The two were silent, slowly retreating, preparing to leave the cave. A man's cry for help came from the steamer. "Help me! Help me!" King Huotian gave Yingju a look, and Yingju understood. "King Huotian, this guy is so unlucky, he shouldn't die, right?" Yingju shook his head slightly, his face covered with worry. "Yingju, I can't say for sure, after all, it's been frozen for so many years. Encrypted calls belong to Yes." After a moment of silence, the two of them sighed in unison, and could only step forward again and open the steamer. Thump. With only his last breath left, Sun Li rolled to the ground. No one helped him. Sun Li rolled tens of meters out in one breath and simply rolled down the mountain road. King Huo Tianwang and Yingju looked at each other again and had no choice but to follow them again. Neither of them wanted to help Sun Li, so they just watched Sun Li roll forward. Sun Li rolled unhappily, and he was unable to stop himself. The two of them just followed him slowly, carefully avoiding the place where Sun Li rolled. Unlucky. Yingju couldn't stand it any longer, and pointed from the moral high ground. Crazy Huo, even if you don't want to help me, you can just throw a stone to stop me, right? Huo Tianwang snorted coldly and came back. Why didn't you stop me? Yingju smiled crookedly, his arms instantly turned red, and his whole body became red. Ah, my blood shadow has done it again. King Huo. Isn't your blood shadow too smart? If you say you are sick, then you will be sick. If you say it is good, then it will be fine. Adaptive blood shadow? Artificial intelligence is sick? If he hadn't been able to defeat Yingju, King Huo Tian would have pinned Yingju to the ground and beat him up today. It's not that I don't help, it's not that you don't know. King Huo Tian said helplessly. This guy is extremely unlucky, but he is not unlucky enough to die. Every time my luck hits rock bottom, I will be able to survive by relying on good luck. If I intervene, I might actually kill him. Both Huo Tianwang and Yingju have worked together with Sun Li and have rich experience. Sun Li is the favored one of the gods, the favored one of the three gods. One of the gods is called the god of death and doom, and is generally referred to simply as the god of death. This god of death is very mysterious. Few people know where the god of death is and what he is busy with. Since Sun Li was favored by the god of death, it was difficult for him to die. It's just that the process is a little painful. The two people were helpless and could only watch Sun Li continue to roll on the hillside, and even acted as cheerleaders. Come on, you can do it. Stand up. Old Sun. Stand up. Cheers for Sun Li. Bad luck. Sun Li was rolling, his head kept hitting rocks, and he was awake and unconscious for a while. He finally caught a clear gap and said intermittently, "Brothers, please stop talking, help me." Seeing Sun Li's tragic experience, King Huo Tian finally couldn't bear it anymore and came to rescue him. He used a flat stone to catch Sun Li smoothly. According to common sense, there would be no problem. But once the matter is related to Sun Li, it is difficult to use common sense to infer. Sun Li just stopped and hadn't taken a breath yet. His lower back tightened suddenly, and his whole body began to twitch as if he had been electrocuted. During the previous rolling process, the ropes on Sun Li's body were cut by rocks, and now he can move freely. Sun Li, who was electrocuted, stood up uncontrollably and started running towards King Huo Tian in front. "King Huo! Don't come over here!" Huo Tianwang turned sideways and made way for Sun Li, and the two sides passed each other. After Sun Li ran over, King Huo Tian noticed what the problem was. That monster was obviously a monster that had escaped from vulgar taste, and had very strict requirements for food. During the cooking process, a fish was stuffed into the clothes on Sun Li's back. This kind of fish will sleep under normal temperatures and tastes great when steamed. Before, not long after Sun Li entered the steamer, the fish hadn't woken up yet. When Sun Li was lying on the stone, he happened to wake up the fish. The frightened fish shook Sun Li's spine, causing the previous scene. Shadow 9. King Huo. 200-year-old grandfathers have become autistic. King Huo Tianwang took action with good intentions, but it turned out to be a bad thing. I told you earlier, it would be better not to save him than not. At this point, the two of them could only admit that they were unlucky and hurriedly followed to prevent Sun Li from making any mistakes again. Before they had even taken 2 steps, they heard a thump. Sun Li fell into the ditch. Crouching beside the ravine, Huo Tianwang stuck his head out and asked, "Are you okay?" "Gilug gilug. There is water in the ravine, and bubbles are floating on the water. This guy can really have any bad luck happen to him." Huo Tianwang and Yingju had a tacit understanding and had no preparations to save people. Not long after, a head popped up. After a series of misfortunes, Sun Li finally ushered in his own good fortune. Sun Li took a breath and shouted, not caring about rejoicing that he survived the disaster. Underneath, there's a hole underneath. Calculated before and after, if you drill a hole, it will only take 1 month if it is fast, and 3 months if it is slow. Drill the mountain peak where Shweju is located. In half a year. To be precise. We are here. If we go through the hole in the ravine, we will actually bypass several powerful monsters and go directly to the north of the mountain. If we continue walking the same way, how long will it take us? Logically speaking, it would be inappropriate to open a bottle of champagne to celebrate such a major discovery. Yingju asked again, what about drilling holes? King Huotian took out the map, pointed to a mountain peak and said, on the other side of the cave, there is Shweju's aura. He looked at Sun Li, as if facing a formidable enemy, and said in a deep voice. Yingju frowned and asked. Even there are no less than 3 level 1000 existences. However, this matter is related to Sun Li. I was able to take you out once, and I can take you out a second time. Half a year is already a very optimistic estimate. After figuring out the current situation, Yingju made a difficult decision. The south side is easier to climb, but there are many monsters above level 990 on the way to the south. This cave hidden in the ravine can shorten the distance from Shweju. Sun Li, who was soaking in the ravine, said his next words, causing the 2 people on the shore to shut up at the same time. Anyway, Sun Li climbed up from the ravine first. Neither of them are at their peak combat prowess. They have to deal with all kinds of monsters on the way, and now they have to take Sun Li with them. Shweju is here. No monster dares to approach the mountain peak where Shweju is located. King Huotian rolled his eyes. The climb to the north is more difficult, but there are no monsters to guard it. So, we go around to the north of this mountain peak and start climbing. After he simply treated the injury himself, the 3 of them fell into an eerie silence. The meaning of opening champagne has changed. He moved his fingers and pointed to another place. King Huotian gave an answer. This mountain is very special. Even for the Tongtian god of war duo to climb up, it is very difficult and takes a lot of time. It doesn't matter if there's a hole. Just climb up on your own. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 655. Before Yingju finished speaking, King Huotian nodded and agreed. Okay, as expected of Laoju. Giving a thumbs up to Yingju, Huo Tianwang took a step back and said seriously. I won't interrupt, I'm leaving. Yingju. You can't leave. Yingju stopped Huo Tianwang. No one shared Sun Li's bad luck. His old arms and legs were really a bit unable to withstand it. King Huotian was furious and said angrily. Sun Li, let's talk openly. You're such a good person, why did you come to the abyss of the strongest? After careful planning, King Huotian and Yingju arrived at the abyss of power in less than a month. When they left, Sun Li had not yet thawed. In this month, Sun Li unfrozen, broke through the 29th floor, improved his strength, sneaked into the abyss of the strongest, and found Huo Tianwang Yingju. This schedule is a bit too rushed. It's not like I want to come. Sun Li sighed and said helplessly. Brother Ninth's apprentice found me and I said I wouldn't come, but he insisted on letting me come. King Huo. If it was Xiao's arrangement, that would be a different matter. Yingju was angry. He wants to bully his master and destroy his ancestors. The Taoist's voice came from the Wanwu Pavilion tablet in Huo Tianwang's pocket. In no mood. Shadow 9. Will there suddenly be a signal again? Yingju ignored this and continued. We have found this way, and Sun Li has also played his role. Please send him back quickly. Toot toot. The signal was cut off again. After adaptive blood shadow, is there an adaptive network? Across the network cable, Yingzhu had nothing to do with Xiaoyao. He turned to look at Sun Li. What did my apprentice tell you? Sun Li can do this question. Let me find Brother Zhu and you guys, let's go find Xuezhu together. Is it that simple? Yingzhu couldn't think of a clue for the time being, so he could only put the matter aside and asked instead. How's Thief Sun doing lately? Thief Sun? Sun Li was stunned. Does our Sun family have such a person? He quickly reacted and understood who Yingzhu was talking about. Tell me, Shura, he led me through the 29th floor and made great progress all the way. Before I came in, I heard that he single-handedly killed the ancestor of demons. Sun Li has been here for a while and is not very well informed. Fine. Yingzhu waved his hand magnanimously and arranged. When we escape from here, you can protect my grandson for a while. King Huo? Are you crazy? You call this protecting the Tao? Obviously, Yingzhu still remembers Jing Tangju's grudge. It is a foregone conclusion that Sun and Li will go together. The three decided to make some preparations and officially hit the road. King Huo Tianwang and Yingzhu coincidentally took out pen and paper and began to write a suicide note. Hey, there's no need. Sun Li shouted. Crazy Huo, you have died 9 times without regrets. How did you die? King Huo Tian said plausibly. I'm afraid I'll regret it if I leave with you. Reasonable and convincing. Sun Li could only look at Yingzhu. What about you, 9th brother? You are here to get your talent. What do you have to be afraid of when you get your talent back? I'm afraid I won't survive until then. Yingzhu raised his hands, the blood redness on his arms had spread to his shoulders, and the situation was getting worse. Don't get close to Sun Li, you will become unlucky. Sun Li. The two wrote suicide notes and jumped into the ravine one after another. King Huo Tian is in front, followed closely by Sun Li, and Yingzhu Duan is behind. There is no way, Sun Li's strength is too weak. If something unexpected happened while crossing the cave, it would be all over. Fortunately, there was no danger. The three of them swam for several hours at a stretch before appearing on the other side of the cave entrance. Call. As soon as he emerged from the water, white mist came out of Huo Tianwang's mouth and nose, and white frost hung on his beard. Surrounded by ice fields, it is a land of ice and snow. The three of them climbed ashore. King Huo Tianwang looked around and saw no appearance of the mountain. Where's the mountain? Yingzhu pointed in one direction, and there was a black spot high in the clouds. King Huo Tian raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully. It's not that high. That's the bottom of the mountain. King Huo. Be careful, if you are close to this mountain, even the god of war will have limited power, and he will be no different from ordinary people. Of course, the health recovery capability remains unchanged, which is our biggest advantage. On the snowy field, Yingzhu introduced while walking. So, it's not that easy to climb this mountain. His strength was limited, but Sun Li didn't care. In terms of paper strength alone, he is already very weak and has nothing to fear. 3 figures staggered forward on the ice field, leaving 2 footprints. Rumble. In the void. Outside the mighty abyss. A large abyss plane slowly appeared. I can see it. I can see it. Xuemeng, who was moving bricks, didn't expect the progress to be so fast. It only took a few days to find it. Don't be happy too early. Yingxin poured a basin of cold water down. The closer we get to the abyss, the more difficult it is to open the passage. According to the progress, we have only completed 1/5 of it. Anyway, this is good news. Following the guidance of the golden tree, the two adjusted their direction, avoiding some violent auras, and carefully searched for Juya and others. Soon, Yingsan and Xuemeng looked down at the abyss from the void and could see 3 small black spots. Shadow 9, Huo Tianwang, bad luck. Xuemeng was a little excited. He hadn't seen Master Ju for a long time and missed him very much. Ying San moved his eyes and looked towards the top of the mountain in the direction the three of them were heading. Xuemeng's Adam's apple moved slightly and replied. He looked across the two abyss to the man on the throne. Here, there is not even the breath of the most powerful demon. Xuemeng knew since he was a child that he was probably really dead. Confirmed death. When he saw the other party for the first time, Ying San's usually honest face was full of fear. As if he were facing a formidable enemy, he was extremely shocked inside. Ying San looked at it intently. The man's head hung slightly, as if he was asleep. Everything around him was still, and time and space seemed to have frozen. He has never seen such a person. Cause of death, the most powerful demon god. After a long time, Ying San finally asked with difficulty. Sitting on the throne was a man with a vague face. The man sitting on the divine throne is like a painting, standing on the top of the mighty abyss. How could a dead person give me such a sense of oppression? My dad. There is a man on the throne. Xuemeng's expression darkened, and his eyes were like the sadness of autumn, very light but not dissipating. Time of death, 97 years ago. The most terrifying thing is, Ying San is very sure that the other party is dead. Even across the abyss of power, Ying San can feel the threat. How strong was he during his lifetime? On the top of the demonic peak, there is a throne of God. Really dead. The first human race god of war. Are they climbing a mountain? Who is he? Unimaginable. No monster dares to approach this place. Place of death, the abyss. This mountain is also called Devil Peak. There is such a person in the human race. It wasn't until this moment, when I saw the other party's body with my own eyes, that I was sure. Everyone is here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 656. This is my biological father. Ying San fell into silence. Even Third Master Ying never expected that Xuemeng's biological father would be so fierce. No wonder. Continue. After clearing up their mood, the two cows and horses started their career of moving bricks on the construction site again. As the saying goes, looking at the mountains is a waste of time. The supreme abyss is right in front of us, but the distance between the two sides in space is actually very far. According to Ying San's estimation, at the fastest, it will take 2 months to open this channel. And their goal is the top of the abyss. According to the plan understood by Ying San. When Yingju, Huo Tianwang, and others successfully found Xueju, Yingju got back the talent. Just as the passage was opened, Yingju and others escaped from it, and the inside and outside were coordinated. As for whether it can be successful, Ying San glanced back, that was the direction of the Eternal Tower. God knows. Putting aside the unlucky things. Have something fun to talk about. Ye Bai tried his luck for one day, but everything failed. Ye Bai, who had been fishing for a day, was dejected and obviously in a bad mood. Su Qingfeng saw Ye Bai's depressed mood and nodded slightly in his heart. Although Ye Bai has passed all the projects, considering his strength, it is not easy to achieve this level. But, obviously, Ye Bai is not satisfied with his performance. I really did not misjudge the person. Ye Bai has very strict requirements on himself. This is a wonderful misunderstanding. In order to boost morale, the generous Su Qingfeng announced. I'm treating you tonight, let's go have barbecue. Ye Bai. Lao Su, are you done yet? You can't get along with barbecue, right? Ye Bai raised his eyebrows and became energetic, but stopped talking. Seeing Ye Bai's reaction, Su Qingfeng was very satisfied. Really? Barbecue is the best morale booster. After eating the barbecue, Yebai returned to the small villa and followed the previous process to the outside of the eternal forest. At the same time, Lan Lao promised him the Void Maelstrom information and also sent it over. Although Mr. Lan spent the day tidying up, but very little information was actually sent to Yebai. There is no way, there are not many strong people in the human race who have actually been to the Void Vortex, and even fewer can come back. After returning, almost everyone will remain tight-lipped and avoid talking about what happened in the Void Vortex. After scanning the information, Yebai couldn't see any useful information. Don't panic. He had other ideas. Third brother. Standing under the Eternal Tower, Yebai shouted. The strongest one is Xiaoao, are you there? A white cloud slowly fell. Have to say. After getting along for a period of time, Yebai became more and more courageous. The strongest Wuhan has already acquiesced in the identity of the second brother, and can also actively apply for interaction. Logically speaking, this is something to be happy about. But when I think of traceless interaction methods, lose wealth, lose thorns, and get gold. Yebai's heart started to twitch, it hurt so much. This is not a waste of money. This is clearly a defense breach. With the support of his second brother, Yebai occasionally brought in private goods and called his third brother, which seemed to be no problem. Anyway, Xiaoao didn't correct his mistake, right? The optimistic Yebai registered as a chat friend in advance. Sitting on the white clouds, Yebai saluted respectfully in front of him, and the Taoist's voice came from the tower. Is something wrong? Right. Yebai nodded and asked proactively. I want to improve my strength faster, and Mr. Lan suggested that I consider the Void Maelstrom. Yebai repeated the previous conversation exactly. After hearing what Yebai said, the Taoist was silent for a moment and then spoke again. If you go now, the odds are against you. What did I say? What did I say? With the official certification of the strongest Xiaoao, Tan Yan suddenly became more confident. The survival rate of 17% is indeed a disaster. Certainly. This matter also depends on how you look at it. If it was Wuhan, seeing the double-digit survival rate, he would rush forward with his broken sword in hand. Don't be afraid, give it a try. Change to Shura and defend. This makes sense. Yebai nodded obediently and followed the words. I know this, so I plan to become stronger before going. Yebai simply told Xiaoao his upgrade plan. As for whether Xiaoao is listening, that's Xiaoao's business. Listen patiently to Shura's words. Xiaoao was silent for a moment before speaking again. You want to become stronger? Yebai nodded, yeah. Xiaoao continued to ask. Do you want to be the strongest? Yebai was stunned. No one has ever asked him this question. Yebai was selected by the Supreme Origin, and it was the SSS level talent that selected him. With SSS level talent, you will be the most powerful seed of the human race, and you will be the most powerful person in the future. Everything is in order. No one has ever asked Yebai. Do you want to be? In everyone's subconscious mind. This is a one-way choice, not a two-way choice. Xiaoao doesn't see it that way. Certainly. Yingju didn't ask because there was another reason. After getting back the talent, Yingju planned to borrow the mark of the strongest. He had no intention of letting Yebai become the strongest, and planned to replace himself. Xiaoao's question stopped Yebai. In the past few months, Yebai is a qualified, no, it should be said that he is an excellent and powerful seed. The answer sheet he handed over, even if it was Xiaoao, could not find any faults. But this does not mean that Yebai will grow into a qualified powerful person. What every human race's strongest person carries is beyond everyone's imagination. Only the most powerful person, Xiaoao, can ask such a question? Facing Xiaoao's question, Ye Bai's eyes were confused and confused. He said slowly. I want Master Ju to come back safely, I want fewer people to die in the human race, I want to make money every day I open my eyes. Ye Bai's thoughts are all human nature. Unfortunately, even if one day he really becomes the strongest, he may not be able to get what he wants. When time comes, heaven and earth all work together to transport heroes without freedom. After talking a lot, Ye Bai took a deep breath, shook his head, and exhaled a long breath. Ye Bai said frankly, I don't know. Ye Bai knew that he could pat his chest and say that he wanted to be a success, and he could brag about it without any shame. You can even make a positive statement, wishing you could transform into the strongest human race right now and fight to the death with the strongest demon god. This kind of thing is too fake, too hypocritical, like a clown. Ye Bai disdains it. And this kind of thing cannot be hidden from Xiaoao's eyes. I didn't want to be one back then. In the Eternal Tower, a carefree voice came again. Very few people know about this. The Taoist was even a little helpless. I've tried it, and in the worst case, I can only draw SSS level talents. There is another one, which is being coded. It will probably be in the underworld when it is updated. Everyone, go to sleep now and watch it when you get up tomorrow morning. I am considering changing my pen name from Minjio Old Thief to Underworld Old Thief. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjio Old Thief. Chapter 657. Listening to the Taoist's words, Ye Bai fell into silence. Some people have SSS level talents, because the highest level only has SSS level talents. Xiaoao's lower limit is approximately equal to Ye Bai's upper limit. Seems a little too overwhelming. But think about it carefully. Since it is Xiaoao, it is reasonable. Xiaoao's words are very straightforward. He doesn't want to be the most powerful seed, nor does he want to be the most powerful person. At least that's how it used to be. Xiaoao waited until he was almost dead and almost exhausted before awakening his talent. The Eternal Core Crystal Backhand is an SSS level talent. Ye Bai expressed his understanding of Xiaoao's past mental journey. Looking at it from Xiaoao's point of view, Xiaoao just wants to live until the day he figures out the problem, that's all. The strongest human race is obviously a high-risk profession. The strongest is not carefree. After listening to Xiaoao's words, Ye Bai quickly adjusted himself and said seriously, I need to think again. Ye Bai couldn't give an answer to Xiaoao's question for a while. He had to think deeply before he could decide. The Taoist doesn't think it's strange, or in other words, this is normal. Good. After nodding, the Taoist continued. Thinking about it, that's good. Ye Bai swallowed and spit. The third brother just said, think more. Xiaoao has always been supportive of thinking about problems. His daily life was to think. Ye Bai had finished asking all the questions he wanted to ask and was about to stand up and leave. Before leaving, Xiaoao spoke again. When you figure it out, tell me the answer. In return, I can help you with one thing. Ye Bai. I'll make it clear now, is it too late? With Ye Bai's courage, he didn't dare to be so presumptuous in front of Xiaoao. Ye Bai returned very honestly. Okay, thanks. Happy fortune telling, this is not a treatment that ordinary people can enjoy. In the example Ye Bai knows. The third brother helped Taling calculate three things and helped Xueju calculate them. I wonder if Xiaoao helped Juyu tell fortunes. Logically speaking, Ye Bai holds the eye of insight, so he should be the one telling fortunes to others. Why did Ye Bai, the attending doctor, become a patient when he arrived at third brother's place? The two levels are reversed and belong to Yes. Can only say. There is also a gap between fortune telling. After falling from the white clouds, Ye-bai was obviously in a good mood. On the one hand, Xiaoao did not reject Ye-bai's proposal to go to the void vortex. I just mentioned that it would be more dangerous than good to go now. Ye-bai had no intention of going now. On the other hand, as long as Ye-bai figures out the problem, he can find Xiaoao for a fortune-telling opportunity. A fortune-telling for nothing. Rounding it all off, this wave of whoring was almost a waste of Wanwu Pavilion. Make money with blood. Ye-bai, who was in a good mood, returned to his own exclusive space. After looking around, Ye-bai continued to touch gold. His progress in climbing the tower has just reached the 39th floor. On the 40th floor, there was a level 999 demon race's most powerful seed, waiting for Ye-bai. Now, for Ye-bai to fight to the death with his opponent, there is no difference between him and his opponent. So, he needs a little help from greedy origin. The issue is, change, TNND, why don't you change? Seeing the natural power of brass, Ye-bai wanted to cry without tears. Is there something wrong? Maybe Sun Li's bad luck affected him. Ye-bai made a special trip to Tianxia Pavilion and took down the rotten snacks. Want to have midnight snack? Lilith had a pig's trotter on her left and a rice bowl, and a pig's trotter on her right and a fork, and her saliva was almost flowing. This was the first time Ye-bai knew. It turns out that pig trotters can be so flexible. Ye-bai picked off the pig's head, but failed to remove the hair. Instead, Lilith began to struggle wildly, wailing like a slaughtering pig. In the past 100 years, no one has dared to do this to her. No one. She is the pet of the most powerful nightmare. Sorry, I'm used to it. Ye-bai looked at the red mark on the pig's head and felt a little embarrassed for a moment. After getting lucky, Ye-bai first checked the probability of success with the Midas touch. Nothing has changed. Ye-bai. Is there a possibility? It's not just Sun Li's life-saving tree that's unlucky. When I first realized the Dharma under a tree, I realized the Midas touch. Are you unlucky even with the Midas? No. Absolutely impossible. Ye-bai doesn't accept this possibility. After trying more than a dozen times, Ye-bai could only shed 1,000 tears as he looked at the motionless force of nature. How many kilograms of copper do you have? I'll pay you 2,000 for it, and I'll give you a midnight snack if you have more. The idiot master passing by made merciless taunts. In this regard, Ye-bai had only one response. Roll. After driving away the fool master, Ye-bai bites the bullet and continues to do the magic. After an hour, Ye-bai, whose eyes were red, felt that he had to change his mind. He tried to study the origin of the devil first. But his greedy instinct makes it impossible for him to let go of his greedy nature. If Ye-bai hadn't been so greedy, nor could he overcome his greed. All I can say is that everything is fate. Poverty brings change. Ye-bai adjusted his thinking again. Since I'm so unlucky, I can't get the Midas touch successfully. Then find someone with good luck to get some gold. The friendly Ye-bai approached the little golden pig and said kindly. As a dessert maker, when you can make it worse, how can you not make it worse? Lilith even felt that she was living a good and happy life now. The forbidden prince among the forbidden princes, the shadow blood ancestor, the first person under the blood ancestor, Lilith's nemesis Cain. She paid the price for her naivete. Shura is particularly talkative today. The cold skill book slapped randomly on the face. Still too young. I was repeatedly slapped in the face by the skill book. For a moment. That Dracula loves to talk nonsense and always scares me with demon lords. I think Shura is easy to talk to and not as vampire as he said. Lilith, do you want to learn skills? After being rejected by Lilith, Ye-bai turned around and left without any hesitation. Lilith's childish idea. Ye-bai narrowed his eyes and smiled. There is a saying that this is the real underworld. Only Dracula, who was watching all this silently from a distance, sighed helplessly. Swinging Lilith. Cain said coldly. The one who comes is. Cain smashed a gold Midas skill book on Lilith's face. The skill book is suspended in the air. A figure that frightened Lilith appeared in front of her. Study. Facing the demon lord, everyone will suffer and be fooled. Great. This is how the snacks are laid out, happy-go-lucky and free-spirited. It lasted less than half a minute. Sure. Doomed. Half a minute later. Lilith, can I say I don't want to? Lilith was swinging around the Tianxia pavilion, extremely happy, as if she had won a huge victory. Soon. Humming a little tune, Lilith was in a good mood and thought. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 658. Everyone has paid a price for their youth. Lilith is exceptionally young. She originally thought that the strongest human race was already invincible. Nightmare is the most invincible among invincibles. She is shrouded in nightmares. With the blessing of the lucky 40-leaf clover, he still firmly stands with the human race, and he will be a mess. Let's not talk about glory and wealth in this life. At least we can have enough food and clothing. Who would have thought? When it fell into Shura's hands, it turned out to be like this. Being treated like a sheep and slaughtered like a pig. With tears in her eyes, Lilith flipped through the skill book with a cry in her voice. I can't understand. Yep, I didn't expect that this guy was still illiterate. I can only speak, not write. It's really messed up. Cain's face grew darker. How come the blood ancestor has such an incompetent sister? What a shame to the blood clan. You should have killed Lilith when the blood ancestor was not at home. In fact, Cain also tried more than once. Unfortunately, every time the success fell short. During the last generation of blood ancestors, Cain was sent to build the Eternal Tower again because of the assassination of Lilith. Now, the blood ancestor is dead. Change it to another place. Cain had long thought of a way to silence Lilith and wash away the shame of the vampire clan. It is Cain's duty to rebuild the glory of the blood clan. Pity. It cannot be destroyed. Cain knew very well that the most he could do was play a bad role to scare Lilith. If you really dare to touch a piece of meat from this little golden pig, the demon lord could skin Cain. Even for pretending to be a bad guy, Cain did voluntary labor and didn't get a penny. Talking about money with Shura on such a trivial matter, in the end, you might even sell yourself. And in the continuous battles some time ago, Cain actually gained a lot, and his pockets became bulging. The blood essence and blood in his hand is enough for Cain to digest for a while, and there is no need for more for the time being. Certainly. Lilith doesn't know these things. From her point of view, Cain really dared to kill him. This bad old man is very bad. Lilith is illiterate. Cain could only teach her human writing from scratch. The most powerful taboo prince of the vampire clan, wearing a tuxedo with arrogance and indifference written all over his face, holding a pointer, standing in front of the blackboard, his whole body exuding elegance. He began to give Lilith literacy lessons. 1, 2, 3. Although Lilith is in bad shape. But after all, he is also a vampire who has survived from ancient times. In terms of IQ, I have been developing very well. After all, except for eating and sleeping, the brain never meets. Soon, Lilith has learned simple words and has already begun to learn about animals. Cows, horses, sheep. Lilith read along the words on the blackboard. Pig. As soon as this word came out of his mouth, Cain's expression suddenly changed. Not far away, Dracula, who had been watching this place silently, just wanted to cover his ears when he saw Lilith's mouth. Late. The magic sound reaches my ears. Dracula turned into a white-skinned pig, with annoyance written all over his face. Fortunately, he was used to it and even had the time to finish eating the chicken legs on the floor before thinking about what to do next. After all, Cain was stronger and more resistant, so he didn't transform immediately. Before transforming, Cain did not hesitate to take out a holy light cross and cut it into his chest. Lilith. What is Cain doing? Is this guy really a vampire? Why would any vampire carry such a thing with them? The red light flashed, and Cain, who was resurrected from the dead, was still elegant and calm, as if nothing had happened. Not far away, Yabai had a sad face. Why can't this guy even learn skills? Is it weird? Master Fool picked up a piece of iced watermelon and asked in confusion. Isn't it normal to fail when learning skills using skill books? Yabai. He's always been a hit. And in Yabai's opinion, after using a skill book, if you can't learn it, isn't it in vain? Master Fool also noticed the abnormality and asked sharply. You've never failed. Yabai snorted coldly, he couldn't lose the power of the most powerful seed. He shouted back. Is it weird? It's weird. Master Fool looked at Yabai as if he were a monster. After a while, he spoke again. General skills, such as the wind slash and lightning bolt you have learned, will basically not fail. As he spoke, Master Fool pointed to Lilith not far away. However, for skills like your own creation and high-level skills, if you use skill books to learn them, the failure rate is very high. For example, Midas Touch. While the two were talking, the skill book in front of Lilith flashed with white light and disappeared. And Lilith, this lousy snack, still hasn't learned the mini touch. Yabai had a gloomy look on his face and threw another Midas skill book over. If you want to make a gold Midas skill book, the materials you need are very simple: eternal gold coins. 100 million eternal gold coins to make one copy. The cost alone is 100 God of War merits. That is to say, Lilith already owes Yabai 2000 God of War merits. Yabai never expected that he would fail in learning skills. Even if there is an example of Lilith in front of me. Yabai was still arrogant and retorted. That's not right. Xuemeng doesn't even need a skill book. He can learn whatever he wants. He. The Fool Master sneered. Who is his father? Are you competing with him? Which dad are you talking about? However, Yabai recognized what Master Fool said. As Xuemeng was once destined to be the most powerful seed, there is no need to say much about his own strong understanding. What Yabai didn't expect was that. Are you actually quite strong? From his debut to now, whether it is ordinary skills or sword moves created by Wuhan, as long as he has the skill book in hand, Yabai can successfully learn it without any pressure. You're going to bleed heavily this time. Master Fool saw that the funeral was not too big, so he sarcastically said. Looking at Lilith like this, it would be difficult to learn without the merits of Wanner and the 8,000 gods of war. As we all know, money harm is the most real harm to Shura. While the two were talking, Lilith had already wasted her second skill book. Yabai's mouth twitched, and he directly used the Eye of Insight to check the probability of Lilith's success in learning the Golden Touch. Learning success rate, 4.76%. Every time you fail in learning, your success rate will increase to a certain extent. Yabai. He has the illusion of falling into a Krypton gold trap. Taking 2 deep breaths, Yabai needed to calm down before deciding what to do next. Master Fool noticed Shura's predicament and smiled evilly. Or, she suggested, you give me 100 million gold coins and I will learn Midas for free. Master Fool was afraid that Yabai would misunderstand, so he added. If you want me to help you with the power of nature, that's another price. Yabai. I give you money to learn skills, but you also need to pay more for the power of nature? This demon is talking, How can he cultivate his inner strength and chi? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 659. Facing the idiot master who is gradually turning into Ashura. Yabai has only one answer, poor rejection. Do you want Yabai to waste money? No way. Looking at the little golden pig Lilith who is studying hard. Yabai also knew that it was already very difficult for her to be able to do this by displaying rotten snacks. He simply prepared 20 skill books in one go and gave them to Cain. If within 20 books, if Lilith successfully learns the Midas touch, everything will be fine. If you can't learn it, Yabai was going to take her to his second brother's place to have a brain check. With this kind of condition, a psychiatrist like third brother is useless. It's the physiotherapist like my second brother who works. Certainly. Yabai accidentally let slip this plan. A big question mark immediately appeared above Lilith's head. A traceless sword? Isn't she a pet? Why does she tend to develop into a pig? Is there something wrong? After realizing her dangerous situation, Lilith knew that if she continued to behave badly, she would never have to behave badly again. Study harder and harder. After Lilith's arrangements were made clear, Yabai calmed down. He doesn't need to worry about the golden touch. Put aside the origin of greed. Yabai began to study the source of demons and deconstruct the laws from them. A black mist floated in front of Yabai, controlled by the Shura Sea, and kept changing its shape. Yabai mobilized all his strength to break down some fragments from the source of the devil. And it was very difficult for Yabai to understand and learn from these fragments. Deconstructing the origin and analyzing the laws is what the god of war should do. To be precise, a field that only 9th level war gods are qualified to be involved in. Yabai is now less than level 600, not even the king of war. It belongs to those who have developed ahead of schedule. Concentrated, Yabai carefully controlled the Shura Sea and slowly tried to decompose the source of the devil. This kind of delicate work requires an extremely strict test on the control of strength. The strength cannot be more or less. If there are too many, it may cause the entire origin to go berserk and fall short of the success. Without it, the fragments of the law cannot be decomposed, and all efforts are in vain. After just 5 minutes of controlling the Shura Sea, Yabai started to sweat on his forehead. Obviously, if you want to achieve this level, even Yabai has a heavy burden. Click. After a slight sound, Yabai successfully decomposed a fragment the size of a pinky fingernail from the source of the devil. First step, successful. The idiot master on the side watched Shura's every move and remained silent. Master Fool said secretly in his heart. You succeeded so quickly. Shura can break down the pieces so quickly. It really exceeded the prediction of the Fool Master. After spending time with Shura for a long time, he will always despise Shura inadvertently. Even if you insult someone in person, there is actually no problem. As long as money is not discussed, Shura can laugh and laugh. But if this kind of contempt is brought to the battlefield, it will become a fatal weakness. Shura is far from being as unbearable as he appears. In other words, the Shura shown in front of the Fool Master is just a disguise that is extremely confusing. If you underestimate Shura's existence, you will pay a heavy price in the end. In a sense, Shura's danger level is no less than the top 3 most powerful seeds. After all, whether they are Nightmare, Wuhan, or Xiaoao, they are all above-board people. When you go to that station, you should politely say to the enemy, I'm tired, I'm here to kill you. A head-on, above-board crushing. The slain demon god might even give a thumbs up and praise him. When I arrived at Shura, my style of painting changed. This old coin was shouting I'm going to die, I'm going to die, while stabbing him in the back like crazy. Every time Shura strikes, it's a deadly strike. When the enemy was full of blood and killed, Shura would take away all the loot and run thousands of miles away. He said with emotion, "It was such a close call. I was almost killed." Thinking of this, Master Fool shook his head slightly. Shura is here. In the next 36 years of the human race, things will be calm and singing and dancing will be peaceful. As for the abyss, Master Fool doubted whether the abyss could last 36 years in Shura's hands. The eighth abyss has completely fallen. The most powerful era of Shura is showing its unique charm to the world in Shura's unique way. Gathering his mind, Master Fool looked intently at the fragment of law in Ye Bai's hand. Her strength and realm are extremely high, and her vision is naturally extraordinary. She calculated in her heart. It is estimated that it will take Shura 3 days to digest this level of law fragments. The utilization efficiency, 50%, is not bad. Even if it were a Fool Master instead. When she was level 989, it would take 6 hours to digest such law fragments, with a utilization rate of 80% to 90%. This is still at its best. Cain is a little arrogant. Shura is getting stronger faster and faster, but he is bringing the rotten snacks. The law fragments in Shura's palm were successfully integrated into the Shura Sea. Just when the Fool Master thought so. What happened? Everyone's reactions were also different. Except for the Fool Master. I told you before. The strong men in the exclusive space are also silently watching Shura decompose and digest the source of demons. Only Dracula seemed not surprised at all by this result. He had already expected it. She doesn't understand. And this first step is also the most difficult step. Shura is like drinking water and eating, he is relaxed and there is no pressure at all. In just the blink of an eye, Shura actually completed the first step of digesting the law fragments. It must be because I am dazzled. One step is slow, each step is slow. This guy is the devil himself. Gabriel is still numb. He will not be surprised by the performance of the strongest human race seed. Regarding Shura's performance, Dracula, Gabriel, and even Cain, who was teaching, were distracted and paying attention to the situation here. The source of demons in Shura's hands is the original law that is most suitable for demons, and is incomparable with humans. In terms of fit, it should be extremely low. Shura and the origin of greed are a perfect pair. Master Fool couldn't hide the shock in his heart at this moment, and his emotions were completely written on his face, which was full of shock. Not only do you need to be in the best possible condition, but you also need the original law to be extremely consistent with you. Cain felt endless pressure and forced himself to involute. Fool Master? They are all powerful 9th level war gods, and what Shura is doing at this time is familiar to everyone. Not only is the time shorter than the Fool Master expected, but the utilization rate is also higher. Judging from Shura's posture, there are vague signs of perfect digestion. Could it be that the compatibility between Shura and the devil's origin is extremely high? Dracula shrank his neck, with a bit of fear, and whispered. No matter how strong he is, can he be as strong as Wuhan? For example. What exactly is going on? Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 660. Shura's performance once again shocked everyone. Fortunately, they have long been used to it. No need to gasp again, we can directly draw the conclusion. This boy is so terrifying. Ye Bai had no time to pay attention to them. At this time, he was devoting himself wholeheartedly to trying to digest the fragments of the law. The devil's law is invincible, everyone knows it. Ye Bai was also surprised that he was so consistent with the devil's laws, but he pretended not to be surprised at all. Don't say anything and pretend to be an expert. In the Shura Sea, black light kept shining, and the devil's laws were digested bit by Yebai. Now he has two choices before him. 1. Directly integrate the digested demonic laws into the Shura. Doing this will increase Yebai's combat power to the greatest extent. Certainly. The disadvantage is that Yebai will inevitably be contaminated with the devil's breath. It's not that Yebai will transform into a demon, it's not that exaggerated. Instead, it will become a creature between a demon and a human. Commonly known as hit. And after doing this, as Yebai's strength increases, he masters more and more demonic laws, which will affect the entire demon clan. Just like the blood ancestor will affect the entire blood clan. In other words, demons and Shura will rush in both directions. Eventually, the entire demon clan will transform into Shura. Thinking of this, Yebai felt a little numb. No, absolutely not. No matter in terms of Yebai's personal emotions, or for the sake of the overall interests of the human race. Such a thing must never happen. Therefore, Yebai could only choose the second path, which was also his initial thought. Inject the digested demonic laws into the skills that have not yet been formed. Just do it. After making up his mind, Yebai immediately started to operate. Countless black spots gathered around him, integrated into his body little by little, and were invested in the development of soul skills for the demon race. In just an instant, the progress of skill research began to skyrocket. Current skill research progress, 99.99%. Before Yebai could react, the progress jumped to 102.5% in the next second. Yebai. It turns out that it can exceed 100%. Yebai reacted immediately. 100% is just the minimum standard for developing soul skills. If you want higher intensity soul skills, you can also improve your progress to the next level. Just right. Yebai originally thought that the remaining demonic laws would be wasted and could only be used to build equipment. Who would have thought that there is another village with hidden flowers and bright flowers? There are more efficient methods of exploitation, and Yebai is naturally very motivated. The speed at which he digests the devil's laws is getting faster and faster. Complementing each other belongs to yes. That piece of law fragment was quickly and completely digested by Yebai, without any waste, 100% utilization rate. Originally, Master Fool estimated that it would take Yebai 3 days and 3 nights to complete the matter. Now, it only took Yebai less than half an hour to solve it easily. The efficiency is so fast, far beyond imagination. Able to decompose, fuse, and digest so quickly. Naturally, it is inseparable from Yebai's objective conditions. Of course, Danyan also gave a lot of help. Disgusted, Yebai followed the prompts and without making mistakes in every operation, it was easy to achieve 100% utilization. Don't think this is a simple thing. To complete this set of operations, hundreds of thousands of adjustments are required, or even more. It is extremely difficult to ensure that every operation is error-free. But Yebai itself has a magical quality. Once he devotes his full attention to something, his efficiency is greatly improved and his concentration is maxed out. Especially when making money and harvesting wool. Even when Dracula said bad things about Yebai behind his back, he couldn't hear it. Moreover, Yebai's own qualifications are inherently terrifying. After careful planning, in less than 100 days, he successively realized the Dharma, the birth of all things, the shadow in the mirror, the death of life, the golden touch, etc. Especially death. Yebai's realization of soul-based skills without having a soul-based profession is a miracle. In terms of his own hardware conditions, Yebai definitely meets the passing line for the strongest seed and is worthy of SSS level talent. After all, Tanyan is not that strong either. With the fragments of the law completely digested, The skill research and development progress in Ye Bai's hands has also soared to 168.5%. The progress of skill research becomes slower the further you go. A 1% improvement in the later period may cost 10 or 100 times more than before. After gaining successful experience, Ye Bai followed suit and once again decomposed larger pieces of law from the devil's origin. The fool masters who had been watching fell into silence. If anything, Shura's previous performance shocked them. So, now Shura is starting to be feared. Won't he be tired? Even the Fool Master needs a period of rest after digesting the original law for the first time when he is a 9th level god of war. Judging from Shura's appearance, not only is he tireless, but he is also in better spirits. The Fool Master knows that the strongest seeds of the human race have been outrageous for generations. But she didn't expect that Shura would be so outrageous. She couldn't help but look a little pale. Master Fool thought that he had high enough regard for Shura. But the other party can always surprise you in some places. Shura, who was mediocre and even mediocre in the early stage, has unexpectedly high talent in terms of the original law. In fact, there have been signs of this for a long time. When Ye Bai opened up the Shura Sea, he also broke the record of the human race. Could it be said that Shura is a late-stage player? Master Fool's heart was heavy. But then she thought about it. That's not right, I am a traitor to the demon clan. Whether the demons live or die under Shura's hands is none of my business. I broke the sword for Wuhan, made a whisk for Xiaoao, and made contributions with blood and sweat for the human race. Thinking of this, Master Fool's face finally regained some color. Wu Zhe is so hateful. Fortunately, this young man is myself. Putting aside the mental journey of the Fool Master, Ye Bai decomposed and digested 4 law fragments of different sizes. He didn't feel tired, but the progress of skill development was a bit unbearable. Current R&D progress, 498.5%. The R&D progress exceeds 500%, and the R&D failure rate is as high as 60%. Looking at Chenyan's prompt, Ye Bai decided to give it up. When doing research and development for the first time, don't be too demanding. Leave some records for the next breakthrough. Create skills. Ye Bai gave an order. Countless black dots flew out from between his eyebrows and gathered in front of him, turning into a mass of black light. The black light sank into the Shura Sea, and the entire Shura Sea began to boil. After a while, the Shura Sea calmed down and gained an extra layer of ink. Ye Bai also received the reminder. Using soul fragments to research skills successfully. Ye Bai clicked on the skill introduction, and the first thing that caught his eye was the skill name. 4 black and red words, with a strong sense of oppression, appeared in front of Ye Bai. Hell deal.